This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It's official. Unionized Manitoba public insurance workers are on strike. MPI's board chair says this is the first general strike in the Crown Corporation's 52-year history. Tonight, the CBC's Alana Cole walks us through what this means for Manitobans.
On the picket line. Roughly 1,700 of MPI's 2,000 employees are now off the job.
Inflation impacts everyone who works in the workforce here, and we want to see a deal that can help them all move forward.
With unionized workers on strike, MPI says contingency plans are in place. The Crown Corporation says independent insurance brokers are staying open. The MPI Contact Centre is still taking claims involving personal injuries and vehicles that are stolen or not drivable. For less serious damage, people can go directly to an MPI-accredited repair shop without reporting to MPI First. The owner of Finish First Auto Body says they're already getting a lot of calls.
It just adds to the workload that we have on top of us now, and again, it just becomes trying to keep our customer happy, and it's just like anything else. Everybody likes to have things done now, and unfortunately, it takes time.
MPI says it is temporarily suspending driver testing services. Board Chair Ward Keys says they're working on a plan for that. In the meantime, he's breaking down MPI's most recent offer for workers. It includes a 3.5% wage jump for employees when they hit the top of their pay range, a one-time signing bonus, and 2% annual general wage increases over 4 years with an option to go directly to arbitration.
And in arbitration, the MGEU has the ability to make their case in front of an independent arbitrator as to why general wage increases should be higher than 2% per year.
Union President Kyle Ross is calling for what the Premier and other elected officials are getting, a raise of 3.3% this year, 3.6% next year, and likely the same in 2025.
If the employer would come to the table and negotiate a deal with us, we can get this resolved really quickly.
Ward Keith says they're open to talks if it's to finalize the offer they've already made. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
MGEU members who work for Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries voted to accept a new 4-year contract yesterday. Workers at the distribution centre headed back to work last evening. Others were back at work today as liquor marts reopened. The NDP made a major election promise today. If elected, much of the massive overhaul the PC's made to health care would be reversed. The CBC's Ian Fraze has the story.
The NDP says the Tories' decision to close ERs is a mark against them.
The single biggest mistake that they made was to close 3 emergency rooms here in the city of Winnipeg.
But leader Wab Kinew says there's still time for a do-over. If elected in October, the NDP would reopen the 3 ERs that closed from 2017 to 2019 to become urgent care centres. The affected hospitals are the Victoria, Concordia, and Seven Oaks.
Heather Stephenson wants to close emergency rooms. I want to build emergency rooms.
It won't happen immediately. Kinew says an NDP government would wait until more staff are hired. Once that happens, they'll start first by building an ER at Victoria, then reopen ERs at Concordia and Seven Oaks. The cost of each is around $150 million. These hospitals would have ERs and urgent care centres. An NDP government would also build an ER in the Interlake community of Ericsdale.
It's taken the PC 7 years to break our healthcare system. It might take us another 7 years to take these steps towards rebuilding it.
Before this, the NDP wasn't entertaining the reopening of the 3 ERs.
In a first-term government, would you reopen any ERs in Winnipeg?
No, that's not what we're talking about.
Kinew says the province can now afford it.
What has changed is the amount of transfers to the provincial government has increased dramatically.
Back in 2017, the PC said they had to consolidate ERs because healthcare was broken. But the wait times did not go down like promised.
In the last 7 years, I have witnessed an inexorable deterioration in access to medical care for Manitobans.
Critics say we shouldn't rewind the clock to 2016, when a Winnipeg hospital had the longest wait time in Canada.
All the NDP is really offering is a return to what was already not working.
Shannon Martin with the Progressive Conservatives calls the NDP's commitment another unbelievable promise that shows the NDP's wobbly canoe is tipping. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Police say a 23-year-old Brandon man who's already charged with child sexual abuse victimized 5 other children. The man was first arrested in May. A 15-year-old girl had been taken to hospital after he allegedly gave her meth. Police discovered the victim had been messaging with the suspect on social media. He was charged in July with sexual assault. Well, police now say they found hundreds of videos and images of child sexual abuse on the man's devices. He faces new charges of sexual assault and possessing and transmitting child pornography. A Manitoba judge has told a family living in Tuxedo that they will have to put up with police curfew checks as long as their son is out on bail. As CBC's Caroline Bargout reports, the family had asked the court to stop them, calling them humiliating.
21-year-old Daniel Bell is accused of making 3D printed firearms, which police have called crime guns because they're untraceable. He was also in possession of firearms and body armor without a license. Bell was arrested in June and released on bail after his parents put up $500,000 to get him out. Last week, Bell filed an application in the Manitoba Court of King's Bench to stop police from doing curfew checks on him at his parents' Tuxedo home. His parents filed supporting affidavits, saying officers came to their house 22 times in 53 days. They said police show up at all hours of the day and night and are disrupting the family's sleep, and they're concerned what their neighbors will think. The Crown said the family was attempting to use their privilege to request a different level of justice, and the judge agreed. He told the couple they're lucky their son got bail at all, and these curfew checks are a minor inconvenience that they're going to have to deal with. Bell is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. Caroline Bargout, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Family and friends of a woman killed in Steinbach a year ago are remembering her today as a smart woman who loved life. 20-year-old Michaela Gerard Russon's body was found on an ATV trail near Woodridge last September. Michaela's loved ones met in Winnipeg this morning at the home where she lived. They traveled to Steinbach, where she died, and then to the trail where her body was found. The family planned to sing songs, place flowers, and lay a red dress in memory of her spirit. Her aunt, Shannon Fawcett, says Michaela is dearly missed.
Lit up a room, and she had goals. She had her mind where she wanted to be.
She loved her nieces and her nephews, for sure.
She was just like a big part of our family, like a huge part.
20-year-old Josh Benoit is charged with first-degree murder in the case. His trial begins in April. The start of a new school year is coming, this time with higher costs. The price of school supplies has increased, and for many families, that means spending less on other back-to-school needs. CBC's Josh Crabb reports.
Mom Meredith Gromley searched for savings at a second-hand clothing store. She had to buy new outfits and shoes for 3 growing boys. Buying used helps her save on what has become a more costly assignment for parents this year, back-to-school shopping. Gromley spent around $600.
I was surprised at how expensive it was.
According to the Consumer Price Index, the cost of school supplies and textbooks increased 2.8% over the past year. Children's footwear went up nearly 1%, while the price of children's clothing didn't change. Kenora mom Sarah Pohl says her back-to-school shopping trip has been difficult despite shopping secondhand.
With the prices of everything going up, we actually had to save. We had to look, put away to come up here and try and get what we can.
It's not just parents feeling the pinch. Some schools and classrooms that buy supplies in bulk for students and charge parents a fee are also raising prices due to increased costs. Faraday School principal Jennifer Cox says the fee is increasing $5 to $40 for students in grades 1 to 4.
Well, that allows teachers to do bulk buying, which is great because we get more for less. It also is wonderful because every student receives the same supplies.
There is help for families who can't afford to pay. It's the same in Seven Oaks School Division. Superintendent Brian O'Leary says the fee for students in grades 1 to 8 is also going up this year to $40, an increase of $5.
Just general, price inflation. At a certain point, we're not buying what we thought we could anymore, and we upped it just a little bit this year.
Older students have to buy their own supplies because needs vary depending on courses taken. Gronley says bulk supplies weren't an option for her kids. Cutting back on clothing was the best strategy for her.
It makes sense for me to buy used in a way that knowing that I'm not putting a lot of money out there if it gets paint on it or if it gets a hole in the knee.
A decision many other parents have also made amid the increased cost of living. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, it has been a part of Manitoba summers for more than 50 years. The annual Morden Corn and Apple Festival has wrapped up for another year. Organizers say about 80,000 people attended the three-day festival this weekend. I'm hungry just looking at that corn. This event has been part of the community since 1967. Visitors were treated to music, attraction, fair rides, and plenty of corn, and oh yes, apples. The festival also attracts visitors and volunteers from right across Canada. Look at all the...
It's a real source of pride for Morden. A lot of our volunteers are from Morden or close by. It's really what the city is known for. No matter where you go, and I know for me personally, being executive director, no matter where I go, when I tell people what I do, everybody goes, "Oh, Morden Corn and Apple." Everybody knows about this festival.
John Sauter joins us now. I made a joke about the paper towel they had there because if it's me eating anything like that, I'd need a lot of them. Absolutely.
Oh, the corn. It's so good this time of year, isn't it?
Everything is good this time of year. It's wonderful harvest time. Hey, you know what? This weekend, the province is waiving fees to get into provincial camps.
Yeah.
You still have to pay to camp, but the park's entry is free. So I know we've got a lot of weather to get to before we get to that weekend.
Yeah, we sure do. And it is really going to be a warm weekend. One of the warmer ones of the entire summer, I think. Yes, coming up. You'll see the 7-day forecast shortly, but a little later in the show. Right now, we've got a special air quality statement. You have seen a lot of these through the summer, but it is wafting into the western edge of Manitoba right now. And you look at the fire map, it doesn't look a whole lot different than last week, but yeah, you can see why we've got smoke in the air, and it is drifting into southern Manitoba. We'll likely move into the south as we head into the night tonight. So this is overnight, early Tuesday morning. And the yellow and green colors here, that is the heavier smoke. As we get into the morning hours, we still have some of that haze around, but the afternoon does look a little bit clearer here in southern Manitoba. Across the north, though, through Tuesday night and through Wednesday, the smoke condition will increase, especially in the far north and the northeast. So we have to still deal with the hazy skies across the eastern prairies and, of course, the western prairies for the time to come. Nice and clear otherwise, though, through Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba. Not much cloud around at all. We're at 24 degrees right now. Forecast high 25. Northwest winds have been as high as 30 today, but right now settling in at 20. Eastern sections of central Manitoba getting some showers, a few non-severe thunderstorms. This moves overnight and early tomorrow down into northwestern Ontario, and the trailing edge of this could give us a sprinkle through the Red River Valley in the overnight period. And then 8 a.m. we still have some showers on the Ontario side of the border. This cloud, though, clears, and we end up with sunshine in the afternoon, although a little bit hazy. And then on Wednesday, we have clear skies as we get into late Wednesday, still sunny. Very warm, up around 28 degrees. And then Thursday, we're looking to the west for the next system that'll be moving our way. All right, tonight then, 13, a chance of an overnight shower, I'd say 20% or less. 15 in the morning, a bit breezy, and the winds drop off. High again tomorrow in the sunshine, 25 degrees. And check out the north, very warm in the west, sunny 23 for Thompson. A slight chance of showers in Churchill. Across the south, we're looking at temps around 26 in Brandon, low 20s for Portage, Morden, and Winkler. Another 25 here in the Winnipeg area. Slightly cooler outside the city and a little bit cooler farther north. And then those morning showers will clear and give way to some late afternoon sunshine through most locations in northwestern Ontario. But when you see the 7-day forecast, Janet, You will agree that it is going to be feeling more like July. I'll have those numbers coming up.
Thanks very much, John. We look forward to it. Hundreds of young Manitobans seeking help with gender transitions must wait, sometimes years, for care. CBC's Bryce Hoy reports.
Alicia Dacey's 15-year-old is stuck in limbo. Too young to access gender transition care in one Winnipeg program, too old to get into the other.
It was a little frustrating because they were literally right in that sweet spot where they couldn't access care technically.
The Gender Diversity Affirmation and Action for Youth program, or GDAY, serves those 14 and under. Meanwhile, the Trans Health program provides care to people 16 and up. Dacey's child is now on the wait list for that program.
We've been put on wait list after wait list, and we still haven't got where we need to be.
The clinics each have 300 patients on their respective wait lists, many patients waiting between a year and 2 years. Now, the care that they receive when they're in includes mental health care, access to hormone replacement therapies, and surgeries. Now, this spring, the province offered over $1 million to help the clinics tackle the backlogs. GDAY opened in 2011, but never had formal funding. Specialists like Dr. Megan Cooney essentially worked on their GDAY duties on the side of their desks.
It's been challenging to work in the system knowing that the wait list is as long as it is.
The money from the province is helping GDAY hire dedicated staff, including a psychologist and social worker. Cooney is most excited about how those resources will help children stuck waiting.
Gender-affirming medical care, and specifically gender-affirming hormone medications when they're indicated, they improve health and wellness and they decrease suicidality.
Over at the Trans Health program at Clinic, Haran Vijayanathan says he's seen how long waits can pose a huge challenge to patients, especially when they don't have support in their lives.
They want that process started because there's a lot of psychological and emotional trauma that they're experiencing because that process hasn't started.
He says Clinic is also using provincial funding to hire more staff, but he says ultimately they need stable funding. Dacey agrees.
You have to have permanent funding. There has to be some sort of knowledge behind it that you will be supported no matter where you are in your journey.
Bryce Hoy, CBC News, Winnipeg.
As we near the Labor Day weekend, the province, as I mentioned, is waiving fees to get into provincial parks for this, the last weekend of summer. Vehicle permits are not required. They won't be this upcoming weekend, although overnight camping fees will still apply in provincial parks. Entrance fees to national parks will also still be in place. The Free Parks weekend will run from Friday until Monday. That fire near Hay River in the Northwest Territories, it keeps edging closer to town. The weather is making the fight against the flames even more difficult. We'll bring you an update on the fire situation there after the break. Firefighters say they have never seen fires acting the way they are now in Hay River in the Northwest Territories. On Friday and Saturday, they had some success beating back the flames, but yesterday the weather took a turn for the worse.
We're seeing extreme weather or fire activities. We did 2 ignition operations, which help, but today and tomorrow we're going to see the same thing. It's just very bad weather conditions.
Shane Thompson says the fire near Hay River is very active and it keeps changing. The latest update says it's less than 2 kilometers from the town center. It's also close to West Point First Nation. Essential personnel have now been ordered to leave communities in the South Slave region. Firefighters remain in the area trying to contain the flames. A fire in Old Montreal that killed 7 people in March is now being investigated as a homicide case.
The SPVM's Arson and Explosives Unit is able to confirm that the accidental cause has now been ruled out. We are now talking about a criminal investigation.
Police say investigators have identified the area where the fire started. They confirm traces of accelerant were found. 22 people were inside that building when the fire broke out March 16th. Apart from the 7 deaths, 9 people were also hurt. 6 others escaped safely. The Heritage Building, which is in the heart of Old Montreal, was gutted. Several of the units were being used for illegal short-term rentals. The building had been subject to multiple fire code violations between 2009 and 2018. After spending nearly a century on display at the National Museum of Scotland, a totem pole from British Columbia is about to be delivered back to its rightful owners. Members of the Nisga's First Nation are in Edinburgh to help prepare for the return of the 11-meter totem pole. Researchers say it was taken by an anthropologist without consent in 1929. Excuse my cough. It was then sold to a museum, this museum in Edinburgh. The pole is believed to have been carved in 1855. Forgive me, I'm trying to get my voice back. Florida is bracing for a hurricane.
Tropical storm Idalia continues to gather strength. It will become a hurricane today, and it is forecast to reach landfall as a major hurricane, a Category 3.
Governor Ron DeSantis says the storm could make landfall in the northern Big Bend area where the Panhandle transitions into the peninsula. Meteorologists expect it to hit Wednesday. U.S. President Biden has approved an emergency declaration for the state. Voluntary evacuation orders have already been issued in Tampa. Officials have been giving out sandbags to help property owners prepare for the storm. Coming up, I'm going to get my voice back. John's going to have his 7-day forecast to prepare us for what looks like a really warm weekend, and we'll bring you a daily lift. Lots to look forward to. Stay with us.
Well, here is your 7-day forecast. And boy, if you're hanging on to summer, you'll like some of these numbers. 28s by the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday. But Thursday, very windy, chance for showers or storms. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Check it out, 32 Saturday, 29 at least on Sunday, and then we have increasing clouds with a chance of late day storms on holiday Monday. Now we are in the dog days of summer, so why not give dogs a chance to take a dip in a city wading pool?
Seems like a great idea.
Yeah.
The city of Winnipeg wrapped up wading pool season by inviting furry friends to come paddle around at the splash pad. Here's your daily lift. Dog owners who signed up for their mutts to partake were invited to splash around at one last time at city wading pools. The city invites four-legged friends to come have some fun in the pools before they're drained each year. Great opportunity to reward responsible pet owners who license their dogs. And the city says these doggy days of summer, this event, is hugely popular every year.
It's a success every time because there's no charge. We have responsible pet owners that are coming with their pets. We have a beautiful site here. There's some shade. There's a big wading pool here. And it's just a nice way to celebrate, unfortunately, the end of summer coming.
But they're celebrating. That's a great idea.
And it's going to be warm, and dogs are kind of wearing a fur coat, so why not cool them off?
They really are wearing fur coats. Thank you for being with us tonight. Sorry about the voice issues. We'll see you tonight at 11. See what happens then.
Good night.